Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 67 for Tuesday, October 15th, 2013. That was a nice try, whoever wrote that incorrectly in the Google Doc.
That'd be
but
me.
You can't fool me. My name
They're Wonderbolts.
My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and host of this podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burn one. I coordinate special guests, and I edit, but not this week.
I'm.
No, you had it this week.
Yeah, you
You're
are.
editing this week.
This week.
Yeah, you are.
Ignore what I just said.
I'm Flutterguy317, and I manage media, whatever that means.
Did you have like a mini stroke when saying that word?
Maybe.
Like, did anyone else hear that? Because what I heard was that you managed. And finally,
Oh yeah, I'm Atmospark, I guess. I do the questions and the DeviantArt page.
Your Pinky Dash.
I'm who?
all right,
Who?
Pinky Dash is dead!
you killed him and took a spot.
No.
All Australians sounded like, anyways.
It's true.
Or is that racist? So the reason why you
Australians
scared
for
me so
race.
much that you were talking about the fact that you weren't editing, which you are this week, by the way, in case you weren't aware already.
I know.
Okay. And then it freaked me out because this weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yay!
So that means I'll be away this weekend and stuff.
Are you going to
Canadian
Canada?
Figgy pudding.
I live in Canada.
I want to go to Canada, sorta.
Okay, well,
Dude, this would be your opportunity.
come take a flight. Why? No, I'm not inviting him for Thanksgiving. I have to see my family.
Can I come to your house?
No.
I
So
want to touch your family.
no. You're all really creepy right now. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving this weekend, which is really interesting because last year I wasn't around for Thanksgiving. I think I flew out early, so you guys held down the fort. That was like one of the few times I've ever missed a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And last year
We didn't
you
miss
guys
you.
decided you guys decided that instead of saying, "Oh, he's off at Canadian Thanksgiving," and then making fun of it and then making fun of it afterwards,
I remember that.
you decided just to be like, "He's off doing some sort of Canadian thing."
Canadian
that's
thing. I
right.
don't remember what it was. He was just like, you know what? My country calls.
Yeah.
So I'm off to go kill the
just
giant
an
Scot or
FYI,
something.
It's Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, or I guess by the time this comes out, this
Pretty
past
sure you were
weekend.
slaying the giant Scot.
So, you're gonna eat moose and
open-
watch
you have to open his box.
hockey and
No, see,
cut down trees.
here's the
As
thing.
is tradition.
The difference between American Thanksgiving and Canadian Thanksgiving is literally a month.
Yeah.
That's basic. Oh, and also I think we take less days off.
There's also
Literally
a lot more A's in Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah. As is tradition.
Is Black Friday a thing for Thanksgiving?
In America,
Yes. So there's no Black Friday in Canada.
as is tradition.
That's
Okay.
different. That's Boxing Day, which is after Christmas.
As is tradition.
So yeah,
So anyhow.
that was, I thought it's kind of interesting. Shout
Actually-
out to any other Canadians out there who just celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving. Hope you guys
Shout
had a
out.
good weekend.
Is Canadian Thanksgiving on a Monday then? Or is it Sunday or...
We have a Thanksgiving Sunday and a Thanksgiving Monday. It just depends. A lot
Pretty
of
sure
people.
it takes place on Can Day.
No, shut up. We don't get like the Friday before off. We just get the Monday after off.
Okay.
So like Sunday is like the day that you sit down with the turkey. But a lot of people do it. It's either Sunday or Monday, depending on which one. But Monday is a holiday always. So
Do you
As
have
an
turkeys in
Australian,
Canada?
what the heck is Thanksgiving?
something came and did horrible things to the land. Eat a lot of food to celebrate.
Yes.
Indians dead happens.
It involves turkey and sports. That's...
Do
See,
you
there's no
hit,
sports in
hit
Canada.
the turkey with a
Football.
golf ball bat?
What?
Also, what the
Yes.
heck is a golf ball bat?
Is what?
There's less
Move-
emphasis on football too in Canada. Nobody really
Because your
cares
country
about
sucks.
that. Nobody really cares about that.
It's because your country plays hokey.
Football.
It's the Thanksgivings are close enough together, and they were both kind of made around the same time. So
Yeah.
cool beans.
So
Yay.
art, right?
We killed a bunch of Indians. Yay!
I'm kind of feeling like we should do art this week, just because we've been doing it for so long. So I don't even
So
know.
you guys just want to just like talk?
Crap's too mainstream.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
just play poker?
We could do that.
Sure.
We could play poker for an hour.
You know what?
We could just
I
record
think,
us playing a game or something, and then just like put that up.
I think our viewers would fall asleep if we played poker.
You know,
We could play
Atmospark,
Monopoly.
I think you're onto something. I don't think anyone's ever had the idea to play a game, record themselves, and then upload it. I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, this is something that could earn us
We
millions
should
of
call
YouTube
it
money.
something creative,
Oh my
like we're
God.
playing. Like
We're
let's
playing.
all play or something.
Like we-
No,
like
like,
we-
I like the we're playing, and
Yeah.
then the game name.
Yeah, I like it.
And then if we have more than one part, we can put part 2.
Yeah. Oh my god. But wait, we have to
Such
limit
original.
it to like half an hour each, otherwise people get bored.
Yeah.
So do you think just hypothetically, do you think that any of us are actually going to bite the bullet and stop this joke, or are we just going to keep going until the episode ends?
Where's what joke?
This episode sucks.
Okay.
So our theme this week is Wonderbolts.
Wonder Butts.
Wunderbolts.
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 Wunderblitzen.
Fun fact: in German, the W is pronounced like a V.
Fun fact, in Latin, V's are pronounced like W's.
Fun fact.
Fun fact, in this
Actually-
podcast, my fist is in your face.
Actually, didn't know that. I learned something today.
Fun fact. The thick this weem.
What the heck?
The thick this weem is Wonderbolts.
Wonderbolts.
Fun fact, I think we're all way too tired to record this podcast.
Welcome to the Wonderbolts.
If I may, we're about to move on to art. I guarantee you. I swear.
Wait for
You
it.
have my word. You have
Just
my
wait
word.
for it.
I think it was about 20 episodes ago. I mentioned that we should never do a podcast where we've already been talking for about 3 hours beforehand. This is one of those nights. So,
Yeah.
but we should move on to art. We should really move on to art, and I'm
Yes.
going to try to control this nonsense into
So-
something that we can put on the internet and have people not hate us for.
You can try.
So,
Or
our
I'm
first
drinking
piece,
half of this.
our first piece is called Wonderbolts by Mr. Markers. Someone please take this away.
Mr. Mark. I like this piece because I found it and I think it's really cool. And
I
I
saw
think
it first. I just didn't say it.
one of the coolest things about it is that Burns and I actually agree about a piece. So we should probably hug and talk about how much we love this piece.
We both
Podcast
we both
babies.
really enjoy pony noses. What can I say?
It's true. This
pointy
piece
noses.
has the pointiest of noses.
actually hate pony noises.
Noises.
Well, good thing we're not talking about noises and we're talking about noses instead.
Damn it. Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're making art, there's a lot of liberties you can take, but there are certain things that a lot of people. I mean, when people are thinking of liberties you can take, they think about style, they think about color, but a lot of times they don't think about anatomy in that kind of regard,
Anatomy liberties.
unless they're thinking about anthro
Sneeze.
stuff. Or a lot of people mess with the ears. That seems to be a big pony thing. Is people will mess with the ears and try to change things around like that. But there's interesting things you can do, like making the noses pointy too. That they don't look bad unless
Yeah.
they're burned.
I think
Yeah.
the term for that is anatomical liberties, I believe.
And anatomical.
Anatomical.
One
Maybe.
but like
One or
potato,
the other.
potato,
Yeah, sure.
apple, and apple.
Tomato.
One of them's
Tomato.
English,
But,
one of them's Fringlish. But go on.
Pointy noses, pointy ears, like, they're little things that you can do that really stand out, especially when you just make like subtle touches like that in anatomy. So like if an artist will always use little pointy
Pointy
noses,
Noses.
it really stands out in their work. Or if they always like to use a specific kind of fuzzy ear or whatever, or outline style in this case.
Outline
Probably
style.
the most common one I find is the eyes, just changing how the eyes are done,
Eyes,
because
yep.
there's a very strict way that, well, it's not super strict, but generally there's one way that you do eyes when you're doing it show accurate style, and I think almost every single person who does pony art changes the eyes first.
Yeah, as you've pointed out, eyes always stand out. So that's like one of the things that
Yes.
most people really look to is the eyes, and if they're done in different ways or specific ways or unique ways, they'll stand out to some other people more than they would others.
I mean, that's what I do. I change my eyes when I make a pony.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I've got my own style. The other thing that I notice people do when they are modifying ponies to make them their own is they change wings if there's wings on the character, or the magics in the horn and that sort of thing.
Right,
More
yeah.
magics.
So traits like that are unique to a particular, I was going to say genre, but species of pony. That sort of thing, to make it stand out as it's a unicorn, or it's a Pegasus, or it's an
It's
Alicorn.
interesting because those are like the main focal points of a pony, like wings, horn, or eyes or nose or whatever. And it's also
The only
that's
thing that
changed.
differs them from every other pony.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's interesting.
What race of pony are you? Well, I have fuzzy ears. Guess.
Yeah.
Pat?
There's also little. It's hard to say because when it comes down to art, at the end of the day, the way that you choose to make the art is up to you. But there are certain, guidelines that you can follow that might make it a little bit more easier on the eyes for other people to say,
Oh, you're gonna love this.
If you go too wild with the anatomy, sometimes it can get it can be something you really like, but at the end of the day, a lot of people who I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Like I told Bern before the podcast, your keyboard's really loud. Do you mind not tapping on it so loudly? And we're not even 20 minutes in. Anyways, what I was trying to say was,
Burnt soft touches.
a lot of the times when you're making art, obviously you should make it so that you enjoy it. But a lot of the times people want to make art because to have other people enjoy it as well. And if you're going to do that, there's certain tricks that you can do, and one of them is to not make it so crazy, extreme, crazy, like flailing anatomy that it's not recognizable.
Crazy,
and so if you make a lot of small
flailing arm
changes, then
anatomy.
it might be okay. But just don't make a lot of big changes.
People are scared by big things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's the point of art, is to do something really different, and then people won't like it, but then you're doing it for yourself. Because you don't want the pleasure, what is it? You don't want to be always making things just to please others. Do things to please yourself.
Yeah, there should
Wasn't
be a
that
good
When
like-
you get into like
I mean-
artistic statements and fat pony legs.
wasn't that like the whole point of the abstract movement or whatever? It was just like to make things so obscure that like
Sort of. There's
Kinda.
a lot more to it.
Did
Yeah,
you just
but
attempt to get
yes.
into art history?
I did, and
This is
I'm
a-
regretting it.
Hey, Burn1 here. To answer Flutter Guide's question, quote, wasn't that the whole point of the abstract movement or whatever, end quote. It sort of was, but it's a little bit more complex to that. And to try to go into it really quick, was that art since basically the Renaissance up to like the 19th century was all about logic and perspective and creating the illusion of depth. It was all about the attempt to reproduce the illusion of visual reality. And towards the middle of the 19th century, artists felt they needed to create art which encompassed the fundamental changes taking place in their life during that time, in that cultural context. So all the things taking place in technology and science and philosophy, most notably one of the technological things being the camera, because the camera scared the crap out of artists. They were like, what is this thing? It just takes a picture and there you go. And why am I spending 3 years to make this incredibly realistic painting when this guy can do it for $2? Like, it was an incredibly scary thing back then. So it freaked out a lot of artists, and it really sparked all of these art movements. And the three main art movements, actually, which were Romanticism, Impressionism, and Expressionism. And then these three art movements led to the abstract movement, and where abstraction is basically the departure from reality and depiction of the imagery of art, or more simply put, to step away from something, to step away from the subject, or to simplify something to its most basic forms or essence, normally making something more geometric, or making colors more simple, or reducing them to their most basic colors on the color wheel, so primary colors. The artist most famous for this being Piet Mondrian. And also in the Impressionist movement, there was a really important part where, in like the middle of the 19th century, where mostly Paris-based artists, despite super harsh opposition from the conventional art community and art academies of France, they continued to make works which they felt actually imitated the true qualities of light and color that something like the camera couldn't possibly capture, where they would paint with bright, vivid colors and pieces and settings, where the emphasis of the painting was put into light and just pure color, which was awesome. Obviously, most famously, artist being Claude Monet. You can look up some Impressionist paintings, and they're awesome. It's all about super loose brushstrokes a lot of the time, and as the Impressionist movement goes on, they get looser and looser and more crazy. It's really cool. And Expressionist artists set out to basically express the meaning and emotional experience when viewing something and viewing art rather than the physical reality of something. So all of these artistic movements and artistic times are setting out to make some kind of like greater statement. And it wasn't just as simple as, like, hey, forget you, I'm a do what I want. And I mean, actually, yes, it was. That's exactly what they were saying. But it was much, much, much more complex than that, obviously being art history. But anyway, some fun stuff I wanted to go into, and hopefully you enjoyed that. So if none of that really made sense, short answer to Flutterguy's question was yes, abstract art did set out to make some kind of greater statement, but so did Impressionism, Expressionism, and blah 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 blah. And it's way more complex and advanced than just making statements. But it's stuff we won't be able to get to on the show here today. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the show.
How about alternate art history?
Pony art history?
Pony art history.
That'd be
There
fun.
we go. We could teach that class.
Yeah,
We technically are pony art historians if you think about it,
That's true.
because we've looked and seen and talked about so many like pony art and seen so many pony artists that when someone enters or leaves the fandom, we will probably remember somewhat of that date, making us pretty much like art pony historians. However, if you really want to talk to an art pony historian, you should talk to the people who work at the My Little Pony Museum. Yeah, them.
Traveling
Yeah, the
museum.
traveling museum.
That
Yeah, they're
transition was
awesome. We're gonna have to have them on the show sometime.
Yeah.
for sure. I feel like if I may just talk about the traveling
Yeah,
pony
go ahead.
museum really
Go
quickly.
ahead. Yeah.
I feel like that would be a much easier thing to do, like in person with like a camera. I don't know what it is, but just like with the traveling pony museum guys, it's just something that's so hard to describe over just audio.
See, we have video of that. It's at
Right, but I mean,
EFN
if we were doing like
headquarters.
if we were doing like like an actual episode, I feel like I'd be more comfortable being like, here's the traveling pony museum and all the stuff you can see. Whereas I feel like if we had an audio episode, we would just sit here being like, so this is all the stuff you could see and we're going to describe it, but you guys are just going to have to go see it anyways,
Well, not so much more of that, but talking to them as historians and like what they've been doing, how they do it, and like just let them talk about their experiences and stuff. Because just like when we did our little video interview, it was extremely interesting just to talk to them,
Right, right. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off. So
No,
go
that's
ahead.
okay.
Let's see if I can get
They're-
that footage.
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable about all sorts of pony art, like the whole history behind it and all the different styles and whatnot, and what makes each piece unique that they have. So
Right.
if you go to a con and they're there, definitely check them out because it's amazing.
And talk to them.
Yes. So one more thing about this piece, I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say, but
Maybe.
with the whole pointy noses thing, it kind of reminds me of like a Dr. Seuss-esque kind of thing because he did a lot with like pointy noses. Of course, it was all like birds and stuff, which gives these ponies a very bird-like appearance. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
It's interesting you say bird-like appearance because these are Pegasi. So that's
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Heh.
There is one more thing that I did want to talk about, and that was an interesting choice that this artist made. You can see it sometimes. I'm not sure how well it'll come out with the video because the video has some sort of lots of anti-aliasing and things like that. But in the piece itself, in only the shaded areas, you could see a texture, but it's a straight up and down vertical line, just like a bunch of vertical lines. And we talked before about putting textures and then reducing the opacity. A Trill does that a lot. We see it all the time in different things like that. But this artist seems to have done that, but only applied that to the shaded areas, which creates this kind of cool dual shaded approach to it, where you've got the one paintbrushy kind of thing, and then those lines for shading too.
It's really cool. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description.
Yeah, so you should definitely
Check the favorites folder.
if you can't see it in here, I would recommend doing that because it's a really, really interesting shading style, and so it's not really easy to talk about, but I think you guys will get it if you just take a look at it a little bit closer. So definitely check out the shading style in this because it's an interesting use of textures and overlays in shading.
Also, I don't know who that is, but I like her horned-rimmed goggles.
See, this is where Silver's going to kill us.
That's Misty. That's Misty.
It's who?
Misty.
Okay.
Yeah,
Apparently that-
Misty.
I think.
You mean like the chicken Pokemon?
Oh my god. You're blowing my mind.
We're done here.
We are done here.
So cute. Wait, no, the piece. It's really violet. It's purple.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I know you have a
didn't
thing for
notice.
purple.
Because sometimes people are just like black outlines
Actually,
and make it
That's
like
not
plain.
Misty at all.
that is a very interesting point. Is all the shading is done in a very violet manner. Yeah. So that's cool.
It's also done in a
Yeah.
gradient, and it's cool.
yeah.
Isn't that Fleetfoot?
Yeah, it could be Fleet.
Get rocked.
Silver, no.
It's not
Silver.
Misty. Misty is Misty is great.
But no, fun little point. Sometimes when you're making even just sketches or works or whatever, try to go even just out of the norm in what color you would normally do things in. You'll notice that there's a lot of really experienced artists out there. When they make sketches, they'll stick to a specific color because they enjoy it, whether it be blue, violet, green, whatever. Late customer likes to do certain like shades of like teal and blue and stuff, and JJ always does stuff in like this more like opaque purple. But yeah, play with those colors. Don't always stick to just like black and white because it gets boring. Yeah. Anyway,
Cool. Okay, so our next piece is called Rainbow Dash and the Wonderbolts by Flea Bites. This is a really nice piece.
Yes, for sure. But before we move on to that, if I may really quickly, we have confirmed with our local Wonderbolts expert, and the third pony in that last piece was in fact Fleetfoot.
thank you, Silver.
Thanks,
Now,
Silver.
we're going to have a whole nother issue because we got a bunch of other Wonderbolts in this piece.
I love
So-
this piece.
If
Yeah,
I
this piece is
may,
amazing.
I may start off really quick, I'm going to attempt to name the ponies and make myself a dang fool doing it. But if I am correct, then the first one is Silver Lining, 'cause it's got the
Okay.
poofy hair. Then we have Fleetfoot. Then that's probably Soren. And then it appears to be Spitfire, probably. Let's just make the assumption. And then there's a couple of other ones that look kind of like Spitfire.
Spitfire was
believe-
cloned.
I believe according to the My Little Pony wiki, their names are Blaze and Firestreak.
Blaze it up.
And then
So-
there's Rainbow Dash.
I hope that this is correct, but we'll see.
Whoa! Who's Rainbow Dash?
Oh yeah,
The
Rainbow Dash
last
is in the
Wonderbolt.
foreground.
yeah. Let's see if you can find Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
Rainbow horse.
Yeah.
So
There's
Rainbow
a
Horse.
yeah.
I like Rainbow Horse.
yeah. There's a quote in this piece,
His best horse.
which is "I've been dreaming, I've been waiting," which is part of the
Aw.
whole gala song, which is
Yeah, it is.
very nice. And it's overlaid on Rainbow Dash's tail, and the look on her face is just priceless.
To fly with
Yeah, she's so
those
happy.
great ponies.
Hey, Burned.
Okay, well I found
Yeah.
this one, so I'm going to say
Yeah.
something about it.
Well,
From what I've been able to get from this, it's traditional, not digital, so it's a traditional watercolor.
Yeah.
And it looks like it.
Yeah.
Because I think it might have touched it up a bit in Photoshop, like just the edges and stuff to make it a border and put the signature on it.
Yep. Maybe a little
But
color correcting
otherwise,
too.
it's maybe a
Yeah,
little bit. But it's a watercolor and it's absolutely incredible because I don't know if anybody's ever actually tried to use watercolors, but it's really not easy to get watercolor lines like this. I mean, if you look at their wings, there is so much detail, and same with their hair, and it also with the Rainbow Dash's tail there. That is not easy to do with watercolors.
No. No.
But it's really, really, really well done, and I really like
Yeah.
this one.
Keep in mind, like, this is probably like a big sheet of watercolor paper, you know?
yeah. Who
Yeah.
was it that we had?
Still
Who was
not
it that
easy.
we had on recently? Was it? We have someone on recently who was talking a lot about watercolors.
It was Jai Yi.
Yeah, Jai.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. It's that long ago. Wow.
We mentioned watercolor in the last episode with Silabioshi.
Yeah, Celebioshi.
She talked a little bit about it and how she really enjoys it.
What I was trying to say was, it was, I believe it was Celebioshi. And anyways, what we were talking about in that one was that it's very, very difficult to get those crisp, clean lines in watercolor, because watercolor is all, it's water, so it's going to just spread within the paper, and it's very difficult to get that all to work together. So a lot of times artists, whichever artist said this, one of our recent guests, talked about the fact that she would make the watercolors and then go in and kind of touch it up or even add the colors afterwards in a digital program, just because sometimes it's a little bit it's a little bit difficult and time consuming to make these watercolors with such, like you said, thin lines. But this one seems like it's pretty. I mean, if you look at the bottom of Rainbow Dash's tail, it seems to be, it's still got that blend to it. It's still got that natural, watery, blendy kind of feel to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was just very, very intricately done watercolor.
So pretty.
Little touch-ups, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does look like completely traditionally watercolored. And maybe there's a little color correction after the fact. But yeah, everything looks like it was laid out using watercolors.
I love the smoke trails and clouds.
Yeah.
My favorite part. Well, actually,
that's what watercolors are
my
great for.
favorite part's the wings and tails, but whatevs.
Yeah.
So, fun question for you guys, unless you have a little point to say before I go on a tangent.
Oh, I was going to bring up the composition, the spiral composition.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that first.
Okay, well, it's got spiral composition.
How so? Exploon yourself, Looter.
The ponies are arranged in basically a spiral. I don't know if this is like a golden spiral kind of thing.
No.
But no, not at all actually. But it's kind of interesting that it is laid out like that, with Rainbow Dash's tail starting.
Ted, what is a golden spiral?
Oh, for the love of God.
Golden.
Watch the Spirito episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch that one.
It's a very advanced artistic technique, and I apologize if we don't want to explain it, but holy cow.
If you watch our second interview with Spirit and Lion, we talk about it.
Yes.
If you'd like to learn more about the golden ratio.
Yeah.
But she is definitely kind of following. They're doing their own kind of spiral thing, but she's following in, like she wants to follow their lead.
It's not a golden ratio. What's interesting too is that like Rainbow Dash is definitely the focus of this piece, and all of the other Wonderbolts seem to be coming from her, even though their cloud trails kind of go beyond, like to the bottom or to underneath her. But it seems like they all stem from Rainbow Dash, which is kind of interesting.
Well, bright colors and saturation help attract attention, so there's a lot of it towards the bottom. So the kind of composition of it really starts down below, and then your eye follows it up and leads up into the other Wonderbolts, kind of creating that upward motion as well. So there's a really strong sense of upward motion in the piece.
And Flea Bites also does a great job here of recognizing, obviously he or she, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to check that. Unknown. Well then, I'm going to say he. So he obviously knows that the audience is going to be drawing their eyes to that tail, because the tail is so vibrant and it takes up so much of the piece. So he uses that to his advantage and gets the message that he wants to get across there. Even though our brains would probably do this, instinctually, by having text there, we will then read it left to right. So then we see there's text, so we start from the beginning, which is the left, and you go and you read "I've been dreaming, I've been waiting," and then that follows all the way up to Rainbow Dash, and then splays out into the Wonderbolts. And it gives a very clear, when you look at this piece, you probably did it subconsciously, but you followed that exact path, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right. So I got a tangent question for you. Do any of you know what kind of style that this piece is done in and what the artist was aiming for?
Can I get a hint? What do you mean by what style?
What kind of style does the overall piece feel like it's done in, especially looking at the ponies and how they're made, anatomy, how they flow, and in details?
Like what do you think like was the inspiration?
There's 3 distinct styles that I usually try to talk about or throw out that I clearly learned in art appreciation.
You're talking about like the
expressionism.
So
maybe?
wait. Can you list the 3 of them again?
The 3 of them are realism, expressionist, realism, expressionist, and abstract.
Okay, well, I'm gonna guess expressionism.
Yeah, I'd probably guess that too.
So you'd be right.
Yay.
The point I wanted to make was a lot of people will look at a piece like this, and if they see how like maybe a character is like in this piece, the characters aren't very warped. They still look pretty pony-like. But a lot of people look at a piece like this and see how like things are very swirly and silly, and they'll think, oh, it's abstract because it's crazy. Like there's crazy things happening. Especially in a couple pieces in this artist gallery, which I would love to feature. With like there's a rarity piece and a Fluttershy piece and then a piece with the main 6 where they're warped and doing crazy things and people are like, oh, abstract, when in fact it's more of an expressionist type style. And I love how this artist uses that. This artist really is kind of fascinated with that style of just expressionist twisting and colors, and it's really worth it to go looking through this artist gallery and look at the different pieces and how the artist draws anatomy. It's a very cool comic by the artist where everything is really like warped, stretched anatomy and scenes and whatnot. But yeah, it's a really fun expressionist style. And you can really see it in Rainbow Dash, how she's kind of like twisting and her wings are twisting and her head's kind of done a little originally and warped and oval-like. And then in the very first Wonderbolt, how the wing and tail are like waving, like it's not straight, it's clearly waving, and the tail's starting to curl. And if you look at the first Wonderbolt's body, how like the body kind of waves as well, and nothing's like straight or rigid. Those waves are really key to that.
That's a really good point about the distinction, because like you said, just because something's warped doesn't mean it's abstract, you know. An abstract painting to me, and obviously we'll get to this when you have.
Well, I want to know what it means to you, because I can tell you what it means.
Right. We'll get into it in a lot of detail when it comes to abstract. But when I view an abstract, to me, the way I differentiate it is that it doesn't necessarily. It is completely away from real world norms, and so while a piece like an expressionist piece with a lot of warping in it may not be exactly realistic like a realism piece would be, it still depicts things that could happen, and it still makes sense, and there's a lot of things, you know, it's hard for me to describe exactly, but abstract is much more out there, much more about subtle things, whereas this is still depicting, as much as it's warped, it's still depicting a character that we know, that is flying, that is recognizable.
That's a key part to making something that's expressionist, is you can still tell what it is. You still know that it's a pony, you still know if it's male or female, and it's clearly like it's not very really an argument of what something is or what the subject is. But an abstract piece specifically, like the definition of abstract is to step away from, to reduce something to its like most simple forms, or like the essence of something. So when people see something crazy and abstract, they'll look at it, and obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's taken something that did make sense or was something and then reduced it and made it something else and simplified it, for lack of a better term. Where expressionistic works like this aren't about that. They're about giving more feeling to something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was a really nice, concise way of saying that. Well, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
We'll get to your abstract episode eventually at some point.
Add it to the list.
Soon.
So, does anyone have anything else to say about this piece?
Nope.
Other than that, it's amazing, and you should go check it out.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a cool artist that we haven't featured before, and I always enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
So our next piece is also by an artist that we haven't featured yet. It's Wonderbolts by Meow. I think that's how you...
Meow. I want to feature Applejack piece with artist.
oh yeah, that was.
Since when is Applejack a Wonderbolt?
Yeah, I know what piece he's talking about for sure. But we're not talking about an Applejack piece here, Bernie. We're talking
even though it is Applejack month.
Is it? Is that? No, that's not enough of these months.
I know.
Apple month.
No.
It's October.
So
Apple horse.
this piece is very interesting.
I wanted to talk about the light in this piece
Yes.
because
Talk about the colors.
the artist did some interesting things with the light, and the way that light is portrayed in the piece as an actual artistic piece, like, I'm not sure what the correct term is, but as the brushwork, as the explicit art part of it, we talked about the fact that it was more of a loose brushstroke, I believe, is the term, and so the painting of light in this piece is done very loosely. You can see it especially through who I'm assuming is Soren and Spitfire. I mean, like, that's a fair assumption to make,
Mm-hmm.
And so we see through the legs of Spitfire and across Soren's face just these swipes of light.
Sunbeams.
There's no really super defined sun in the background. It's just kind of the collection of all these different light beams that are coming out here.
Sun's more hinted at with that bright yellow and the light.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and we've mentioned in the last little bit that we really like when you don't have to explicitly show something. You can hint at it, and you know enough about the human brain and how we process things to where you can just have people think that there's a sun there without actually showing it. And I think this piece does that really well. When you look at it and you see that light, every single time, like, even though I know there's no sun there, if I look away and I look back, my brain's going to go, there's a sun in the middle there, just because of how well the light is shown in here.
Just like the use of negative space.
Mm-hmm.
That was really that was an abstract thought. Now let's get you more into realism and expressionism thought here.
Yeah, artsy words.
Well, this would be an expressionist piece, but
Applying traditional art terms to digital pony work. Oh, yeah.
Why is Soren looking so unhappy?
I don't know. Maybe he's falling. That is actually a really good point. Why is Soren so sad?
I mean, you got Spitfire and Surprise, and they're both really
He
good.
is not amused. He's like, I am too cool for this. You guys gotta get on my level.
Maybe. No, I have no.
I'm not seeing that.
It's almost like he's like lying on a cloud and he's just like chilling there.
Yeah, and then here comes
Like, hey,
Spitfire.
Soren, what's going on?
Here
Yeah,
goes Spitfire zooming across,
maybe
disturbing
he was,
his nap.
Yeah, maybe he was napping, and then
Yeah.
it's a siesta.
I always nap with my latex suit and goggles on.
It's great to see how much that little frown there can make us look at it and be like, why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why, Soren?
Why,
I
meow,
want to
meow?
look at this piece for more information for the story about how it makes me feel.
No, meow, meow. Why?
Why?
Meow.
No.
What?
No, no.
It's interesting that you brought up the sun because to me, when I look at this piece, like, the sun is very bright. Like, there's a lot of pieces where you have a sun, but it's not like blindingly bright. But this is one of those pieces where it's the surrounding colors and the surrounding value that like really concentrates
Oh, yeah.
on that location in the piece. And
Well, I think the interesting thing is that there isn't a tremendous shift in value,
no,
but there is a very high value center.
right.
And it's definitely higher than the surrounding.
Maybe I don't know.
It's just value done in a different way.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest way to see value. This is more of like a
I have to look
subtle
up an
one.
artsy word.
But this is a subtle use of value. Whereas we've shown examples before where value can be used to split in between things.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a gradual thing. But because the gradual shift gets up to such a height, it does start to have that effect too, because you get that brightness in there, and in very small doses. We talked about saturation and lightness and all these different things that you shouldn't be too high on. But when you get it in very small doses, like a little bit of the sun, and when you use it properly, this is an example of an artist really that knows what they're doing, putting together a piece and being able to use those more advanced techniques.
Yeah, definitely.
Bern, did you find the advanced word that you were looking for?
Hold on.
Okay, we'll stop.
Stupid Baroque art.
We're talking about Baroque again.
Baroque.
Anyway,
Baroqueness.
I forget the stupid big artsy term. It's a word that I should probably know so I don't fail my art history test. But it's using intense contrast in between lights and darks and light and shadow. There's a term for that, of using intense contrast in value. And this piece is doing the opposite. It's using very light shifts of contrast in between lights and darks. So there's obviously a very saturated, colored center, but it's still a very like light value shift to other parts of the piece. And it's more about the warmness and coolness of colors. It's more about like the kind of like the warms and the violets towards the bottom compared to the really bright intense colors in the middle and then cools around it. So it's much more about color, but it's a lot less about value is like the key word, but it's there. It's just done in a different way. And the point I wanted to make is the opposite of a piece like this would be intense lights and darks and intense value.
Yeah,
and I couldn't remember I couldn't remember the word for that. But if you actually Google the artist Caravaggio and then just look at Google Images, everything is like intense black background, super illuminated figure, and would be the opposite in value.
I'm gonna guess you're gonna have to put that name on the screen because I have no idea how to spell that.
Hey, Burndo1 here for another little insert while editing. That fancy pants word that I was looking for was actually the Italian word tenebroso, meaning shadowy, or basically in a shadowy manner. So when I was talking about Caravaggio, which is the Italian name you can see on the screen now, who I am currently learning about in art history and Art 221 in the Baroque era, is that he was very famous for illuminating his... Oops, dropped my pen. He was very famous for illuminating his subjects in very bright lights and then surrounding everything else with a very stark contrast of deep shadows. And that is using a very high amount of tenebroso, the Italian word. The other fancy pants word that would have done, if I had found it, was chiaroscuro, which is the Italian word that literally translates to light dark. Get it? Chiaroscuro, light dark. And there you go. Italian 101. Brought to you by Burndo1. And back to the show.
I got it spelled right first time.
So,
yeah. I mean, going off that note, it's kind of interesting because to me, like a piece that does those intense like changes in value, you get like you get some pieces where the sun really stands out and it's really bright, but you in a lot of them you don't really notice it. I guess it's just like in placement of colors and placement in shifts of value and stuff like that really this artist does right. So
yeah,
there's some really cool stuff by this artist, and again, it's one of the advantages of having the show and looking out there and kind of stretching our boundaries for what kind of art we're looking for, because we get to see a lot of new artists, and there's some definite stuff in here that we'll probably be taking a look at in the future.
Goodness. I just put this into Photoshop and like took out the saturation. There's like no value. There's hardly any value shifts in terms of like just when you take away the saturation. So it's all color differences. Obviously, when you're looking at Spitfire and Soren and like his tail, since those colors are so dark, there's going to be some shift there. Yeah. But looking at the like sky, the background, the ponies, it's like this piece is not about value at all. It's all about those colors.
Tangent,
which is fine. It's fine.
Tangent time.
Oh, hi, Brony here again. More things that I want to insert in editing. The thing that I forgot to add in while we were recording is that the awesomeness and importance of this piece is not put into value, like I mentioned, but it's put into the contrast of hue. Hue, that is the magic word that I forgot to mention because we keep saying color and how colorful it is. And also, if you didn't know, the word hue specifically refers to the specific color that we're talking about along the color spectrum, or in a piece like this, how those colors interact on their spectrum next to each other. It's not specifically referring to saturation, and it does not refer to the lightness or darkness of that color. It's specifically referring to what kind of color that is, and its shift along the spectrum. The importance of this piece is all put into the contrast and changing and interactions of the hues. So if you look at Soren and Spitfire, if you look at them when they're in black and white, they're just one big sheet in shade of gray. There's no value. There's no shift. There's like maybe a little bit where the sun hits where that yellow is, but there's no real shift in lights and darks in the black and white. But when you turn it into color, now it's all about the hues. It's all about the shift and contrast in hue. It's going from orange or blue to violet. It's all about that shift along the color spectrum, not about how light or dark something is, which makes it really cool and interesting, because when we think how you shade something with a sun or shadow or whatever, we think that you make something really light or you make it really dark. That was the whole point of the word chiaroscuro in traditional art, because I mean that's how you simulate real life, is that something will get lighter and then darker, but you don't always have to do that in art. You can make the importance of something be in the hue in a piece like this, to where there isn't any kind of value shift or light and dark shift. There's only contrast in that spectrum, which is awesome. Duh, rant. Yeah, God, Random Plasma's gonna hate me.
Burnt. We have 2 different editing styles. And there is something that I think would be very good for you to pick up, because I started doing it recently. And I know because neither one of us watched the episodes that the other one edits. So we have a lot of vertical composition pieces in this episode. And when I'm editing, usually when I have a vertical composition piece, it's awkward because then you have those you got like a huge amount of space on the sides. So if I may make a suggestion, this is what I do. What I do is I take 2 pieces and I put the same piece side by side, except one of them has the saturation missing. That way, when people are viewing at it, there's less space on either side of the piece, and they also get to see the value of the piece. So, perhaps this episode, try that out, and that way, even if we don't cover it, and it's a vertical composition
I may
piece,
do that because it's nice for people to get the comparison of it. But I also like looking at a piece just by itself without the influence of another piece, which is why I usually put it by itself. I don't like flooding art and other things around it. And with that also being said, I also like keeping it sort of small and in the center of the screen instead of like zooming in on it and stuff, so it's easy to view in the live stream, because it forces people to go look at the original. Yeah,
I do agree with you, and the only reason I would suggest doing that is for vertical composition things, because as an editor, I really hate that. Why? It's like putting a vertical iPhone video on YouTube. You hate to see this stuff on the side.
Vertical video syndrome.
It's nice to put more visuals on something when there's so much like left out space, especially like in a YouTube video where it's all just like wasted space. But when it comes to art, it's like sometimes I think it's unnecessary, or like specifically forcing people to go look at the original.
Yeah, I definitely do agree, and I believe that this is a great indicator to people that you should go out and you should kind of seek this stuff out. If you have a piece like this Wonderbolts piece, and you go, wow, I'm noticing not a lot of change in value here, take it yourself, spend some time, look at it, and go, is there a lot of value here? Take the saturation out, and you might find a surprise, like Burn showed, that suddenly it has none, and it'll help you learn more about art. And we really, really, really encourage everyone. We have the favorites folders for people to go and look at these art pieces, because I guarantee you, even if you watch this at 720p on YouTube and it's so high definition, it's still not going to be the same as if you're viewing the original.
Crap.
So please do, if you're really interested in these pieces, go check out the original, and it also gives you an opportunity to support the artist by favoriting them.
Yeah, and it gives exposure to artists, and it gives you guys an exposure to the artists that are actually out there on DeviantArt. So I mean, if you don't have time to like go on DeviantArt and hunt down artists, if you go through our favorite folders, at least you're stopping by a couple that we're highlighting, and maybe look through their gallery and get a sense for what we deem as like really good artists and good art. That you get a sense for that and get to see it, and it's always nice,
For sure.
So, if anyone has anything else to say on this piece,
it's pretty.
Yeah,
I do have more to say. It likes blending colors a lot. You should take a lot of time to look at the amount of colors and stuff that blends in this piece. It's crazy. Blitz Pony does the same thing. She's blending all the colors in and stuff.
Yes.
This artist does it a lot more loose, but it's cool. Lots of colors.
Yeah, I can see similarity in the styling between her and Blitz Pony.
Blitz Pony's brushes are a lot more hidden, a lot less transparent in comparison.
All right.
Fun stuff.
Definitely check out that piece, and definitely check out that artist, because they're amazing. So our last piece is called Dash of Color by Sophie Cabra. And also by
another traditional.
Yeah.
As is tradition,
we will have to will have to go through this one, unfortunately, a little bit quickly because of time reasons. Yeah. But luckily, we have talked about Sophie Cabra before, so what we might do is do a little bit of
Kenket.
Kenket, yes.
So what we might do is a little bit of a recap of how Sophie Cabra's work is made and the collaboration between them. So, Bern, do you want to describe a little bit of how this piece gets put together?
Yeah. So Sophie Cabra is an awesome illustrator. She really likes doing traditional and digital works, but when she does traditional work, she likes sketching with pen or pencil. And she's really awesome at her own original style with ponies and stuff like that. So when making these awesome acrylic pieces that you see in Sophie Cabra's gallery, it's actually a pony sketch that is done by Sophie Cabra, put on board most of the time, of her pony and the style, and like maybe a little bit of a background, stuff in the background. And then it is traditionally painted in acrylic by Kencat, who is a good friend of hers, who she always gives credit to in her description. And she is an amazing traditional acrylic painter, and she does all of the shading work, the outline work, and I assume most of the time she probably makes up the backgrounds, like cloud sail in the background, the swirly clouds and stuff like that, in the awesome painted, cloudy, or rainbowy stuff on the ground, and that big trail behind Soren, and all the splashes and whatnot. So you have these two artists who are two amazing artists in their fields, whether it be traditional or like illustration and drawing ponies, or whether it be painting, who are like coming together to create this super awesome illustrated pony painting piece. So they're like joining forces to make all these amazing pieces you can see in their gallery. So if you've seen Sophie Cabra's work of the pony squares and whatnot that she's been doing for quite some time now, it's all been a collaboration between the two of them. It's very cool.
Yeah, so Sophie Cabra's it's an interesting collaboration between the two because it's all hosted on Sophie Cabra's page, but Kencat is in on every single one of those portraits and every single one of those, traditional.
Kencat, we love you too.
Yay. Yeah.
It's a good thing to bring up because, obviously a lot of people look and be like, oh yeah, it's just Sophie Cabra because it's on her page.
Yeah, but that's what I did for the longest time. I was like, oh, Sophie Cabra, look at this painted stuff. Sophie Cabra, you're an awesome painter. It wasn't until I actually went to BronyCon and was like, hey, oh my gosh, there's two of you. And got to meet both of them and talk to them about it. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was really
Appreciation gained.
This is a really cool and interesting concept. It's like a rainbow that's a waterfall. That's Soren is just kind of under.
See, I like to look at it really deep because the title of the piece is Dash of Color. So it's like he's really enjoying the splash of color because he likes Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
Shipping! Bern, you're flying your way straight into my heart.
Oh, the puns.
Well, this could also be that you say you didn't know about the rainbow waterfalls. There was that backdrop that Scootaloo and Remodash were flying through in that episode.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
Right at the end.
So many waterfalls.
Does
That was
anybody
really
else
late in
want
the
to see?
season.
Does anybody else really want to see that setting again? That was really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I can't show that on the thing.
People need to go make some art of that setting because that was. I mean, people did it for when Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo with that whole scene, and so people drew it once, right? All these artists drew just that one scene in that setting. But I wanna see more art done of that setting.
Yeah, like with.
I have actually seen some, but I can't remember what it was of. It was like months later. People were still like, I saw at least one that I saw that was really good. That was fan made setting, but with that background, like it was in that area. That was pretty cool. I can't remember what it was.
Cool, really cool.
Yeah.
I've seen some really cool pieces with like Rainbow Dash flying, or what is it? Rainbow Dash holding Scootaloo like flying through that. There's been a couple really awesome artists. God, I can't remember names so well. Forget it.
Yeah, but what he's saying, it's always that one scene. It's always Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash flying through those clouds. He wants more of other stuff that's not Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought I've seen, but I can't remember when or where.
Rainbows.
Rainbow.
I wish I could acrylic.
I know.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty amazingly done on both sides. Obviously Kencat is a fantastic acrylic artist. It's evidenced here. I mean, just the kind of so many different styles of acrylic, usages of it right here. You have the background, which is obviously a little bit more brushy. You have the pony himself, which is more in focus, I guess, of the piece. And then you've got that splash of colored water coming off his back.
Splash!
Which is
And that rainbow streak in the stream as well.
Yeah.
That's also really cool.
Just how that paint must have gotten on there and like painted onto the canvas. Awesome.
yeah, it's and it looks really realistic with that splash. It's really cool.
Well done.
I would pay to have the original of that.
Bravo.
For sure.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Commission not for sale. Ooh, she takes commissions.
Yes.
Well,
okay.
yeah.
Meh.
So, Cunas. Time?
Cunis.
Goodness.
We
Cunis?
should do Cunis. Time reasons. Sophie Copper's cool, but we
Okay,
talked
Cunis.
about her before. People should know about her by now, and if you don't, then get on the ball.
She's awesome.
Also, fun fact, Sophie Copper is the artist who originally came up with the designs for the OCs of BronyCon.
Hey.
I learned that,
Fun fact.
and it's
Yay.
cool.
Fun fact. It's question time.
Bravo.
Okay, so Cunis. First question. Who is your favorite villain and why? Send in my Metty Bob.
Bob.
Met Bob.
Bob.
Met Bob. So these both questions we have today are questions that are a perfect example of why we should really spend more time thinking up the answers to these.
Oh, I think
yeah.
I know mine.
I always have these questions in my head, and then it's just like I know I have an answer to them, but I can't remember, so I'll just pull out the first thing that I think of. And it's not usually the best.
If we're talking
What is it?
Funny
If
guy,
we're talking
what's yours?
MLP villains, I would have to say Chrysalis. And
Okay.
here's why. Like, people will say that Discord is a favorite villain, and he's fantastic and whatnot. But Chrysalis turned Twilight's friends against her without putting a spell on them. And
Awesome.
that's why I think that she's one of the best villains.
But you put a spell on Shining Armor.
She did put a spell on Shining Armor, but like all of Twilight's friends, they like, fell in love with her and stuff like that.
None of her friends knew her brother, but Twilight did.
Yeah.
Bam.
So
Because
Also-
when the heck did this brother get here? Season what?
Yeah, but then we got Andrew Francis. Don't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, if you had a magical horn that you could do tons of mind control things on, would you not use it? I mean,
You missed a perfect opportunity to say that's right.
that is right.
yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
What about you, Rainbow Puzzle?
Okay, so if we're gonna talk MLP villains, then that's different because we can. There's not a tremendously big amount of MLP villains.
I'm going to assume yes, because we're a pony podcast,
Sure,
so pony
that sounds good. I like narrowing that down a little bit. In which case, I'm going to defer to Burn because I haven't made up my mind yet.
Andrew Francis's voice makes me tingle.
So Shining Armor is your favorite villain?
Best villain. No. Villain. Yeah. I like Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Q is awesome. John Delancey is an amazing man, and his voice is an amazing thing. And his character, Silly Crazy. I dig that. Even though, like, at first I didn't like the episodes because I didn't like seeing the characters get discorded. Made me all sad. But, like, as I think of it more and more, it's like, dude's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's differences obviously between villains and antagonists, but I'm going to say Gilda. Just for the sole reason
She's a jerk.
that, no, because I don't actually like Gilda as a character or as a villain or anything like that, but I really just want to see more Griffins.
Griffins, yeah.
Uh-huh.
and not whatever that Griffin was in the cake episode, okay?
Oh,
That
yeah.
was whatever that
The guy
was.
with the mustache.
The strange, I believe, French weird
French
Griffin.
Griffon.
Right.
How do you know that? I don't have some kind of pony pun for France, but Griffons. How do you know that all Griffins aren't from Griffons?
Griffons.
Oh, God.
Griffons.
But anyways, no, you know what I mean though. Like it was a much different character than Gilda was. Gilda was a lot more of an actual Griffin.
French bronies are gonna hate me.
So I would love to see more Griffins. And so for that particular reason,
Gruffy Griffin.
I'm gonna pick Gilda. Just because she happens to be a Griffin. How about you?
Okay. Okay, so seeing as we're going with antagonists, I'm going to say Babseed, because I really like her. Also, because she was the only one that was, like, properly reformed to being not an antagonist.
Properly key term.
I mean, you've got Trixie who apologized at the end of her second episode, but that was just more
Nah, I
of
don't
a...
even talk about Trixie.
And Discord's all like, you know what? I'm your friend now.
Yeah, Discord's
My whole
technically
life
good
of
now.
eternity of 1,000 years was wrong. Thank you, Fluttershy.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
okay, two things. Okay, before we move on to the next question, because we should. But two things.
In
One,
that episode.
if we count Timberwolves, then Timberwolves are cool.
Giant reassembling Timberwolf.
Yes, that's
yeah,
cool.
that's pretty cool.
Okay, but I don't think that counts as a villain, but I didn't want to bring it up. And second of all, I'd like
counts.
to change my
Does
answer.
wait. Does Twist count as a villain?
No, because she is great. I don't know why people don't like Twist. She's a great pony, and I
I have
like
nothing
her.
against
No, jeez.
Listen.
Look at what you started.
Oh, boy.
Okay, but my second point was I wanted to change my answer, actually, because I think that the greatest villain of all time is the Smooze.
The Schmooze!
Because nothing can stop the Smooze.
All praise Lord Schmooze.
They cut the second coming
All
of Smooze.
praise, Lord
Lord
Smooze.
Schmooze.
All right.
All praise!
Smooth.
All right. Smooze Apocalypse.
You heard it here, folks.
Okay, so
The
second
Smooze
question.
Apocalypse is upon us. Read the second question.
Oh my god.
Second question. What is your favorite fan?
No.
Wait.
We're not done talking about the Schmooze.
If this is for a joke, then I'm going to kill you.
Oh,
Go, Flutter Guy, go.
I was gonna say, could we have a schmooze episode? But you're gonna kill me now, so.
All right. Well,
Who makes art of the Schmooze?
Okay, so first off, talking about the Schmooze.
no, for the love of
The
God.
Schmooze was single-handedly the best villain in that show because the first generations of My Little Pony, the best thing it had going for it was the villains. Fun fact. They were the only things that actually had depth to their characters and backstories because the other ponies were just like, magical fairy wonderland, hey, look at all these ponies, let's go flying and adventuring with crazy whatever imagination land with the chick. But none of them had backstories. No one knew where the ponies came from, but the villains were angry, they had reasons to be angry, and they were good.
Okay, second question. What is your favorite fandom created character and why? Not and why, but what is your favorite fandom created character? Sent in by Ramslack, and I'm Ramslack. Okay, it's Ramslack,
Yes.
I think. And
Ramslack.
I'm going first. Flufflepuff.
Ah,
Damn it.
That's why I went.
fluffy ponies.
We've been kind of stuck on Flufflepuff for a while.
I never used to like Flufflepuff, but I really do like her now.
Fluffy unicorns
dancing on
Yeah.
rainbows. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. There you go. That's your,
Yes.
You sounded so majestic then, Band. Good singing.
that was me. You jerk.
So, can we give a shout out to hashtag Nashtag?
Oh
No,
my god.
no,
And his
yes.
amazing
Shut up.
singing.
No, shut up. Shut up.
But
Don't
what
even-
about Nash?
No.
Nash.
No.
Have you not
No.
heard his opera
No.
solo about kittens and bags?
Kittens in bags.
I'm going to.
Bags. Amazing. Go watch that Everfree Network YouTube channel. Go.
Definitely watch that.
Meet EFN BronyCon 2013.
I hate everything.
Kittens and bags. I seriously cried. I shed a tear. It's beautiful. We love you, Nash.
It was the most manly thing to come out of that con. Seriously.
Love you, Nash.
All right.
Nashtag
So
2013.
what's your answer? Your favorite fan created character is Nash. All right, moving on. Flutter Guy?
Yeah, Nash.
Flutter Guy, what?
What?
Okay.
My-
Better make it quick.
I love
No.
Flufflepuff, but
Damn it.
No. Flufflepuff.
Flufflepuff would be my favorite. But since it's everyone else's favorite, I have to think of another one. I don't know. I don't know.
Snowdrop.
No.
No.
I like Snowdrop.
I like
And that could be-
Snowdrop, but
Could be your
He
answer.
made the pretty snowflake for the thing.
yeah.
All right. If none of you are going to answer,
Snowdrop.
Okay.
Satan. Kill everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the like Luna from Friendship is Witchcraft, but I don't know.
Oh,
that's true. That is technically a fan. That is
Twilight.
technically a fan-made character. So.
Satan Snowflake was pretty good. You got to give friggin' Chirkow Plony some credit there. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Burnt. What about you? Favorite
Me?
fan-made
My
character?
favorite fan created character is Black and Red Alicorn Dragon OC. Yeah. That's my favorite.
Oh my goodness.
My favorite fan created character is Applejack.
Hey.
Because the show doesn't create her.
You've already had an answer. Shut up. If I may.
What about you, Roombo Plasmu?
Well, I already know. I've had several answers in my head floating around, but I decided to go with my default, and that is. This is a shout out to our second episode of the podcast. The two OCs made by Cum Crumb and
Yes.
the other one who made them. And it was Shooting Star and Ragtag, which is the
Yeah.
imaginary fillies of Rainbow Dash and
You
Soaring.
would.
Not Gyra.
Probably the best canon interpretations, like continuation.
Ragtag.
Ragtag and Shooting Star are
Gyra's pretty good.
Amazing.
She gets a shout out.
Oh yeah, Gyra's pretty good.
I mean,
Gyra.
shout out.
also the slice.
My second choice would be Sweetie Butt.
Yeah, Sweetie Bot. That's
Sweetie
really
Bot's
good.
good
Deserves
too.
a shout out.
Sweetie
You know who
Bot's
else deserves a shout out? Gak Pony.
No.
Yeah, Gak Pony.
Pizza
You
Pony.
can squish it. You can
Oh,
stretch it.
there's
You can
Pizza
roll it
Pony
into
too?
a ball. Gak Pony.
That Pumpkin and Pound from Slice of Life.
Oh yeah,
they're
that's
not.
good too.
All right, well, yeah, they are.
Ooh,
Kinda.
the guard ponies from Egophiliac and everything in Wuna.
Yeah,
I mean, I based my OC after that junk, didn't I?
Moonstuck is great. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I want to change my favorite character. Screw you, black and red Alicorn OC. I really like Sunshine
I'm
Smile.
really-
Wait a
I'm
second. Hold on. Wait. Burn, did you just choose the black and red Alicorn C so that you could say that?
Over your own.
Yes.
So that you could say
Nice,
screw
nice.
the black and red Alicorn C?
Oh, that? No.
Oh.
And
I just
also,
thought it was
and
funny.
also, I'm
Get that
super
guy.
excited for the new music video by Yan Animations, the Don't Mind at
Oh,
Night.
yes.
So
The Don't
I
Mind
guess
at Night.
technically you could say Button too.
Yeah, animations.
Button Mash, yeah.
He sounds
Although
like that monkey
Button
from Littlest
Mash-
Pet Shop.
Button Mash, I think, is actually a canon character that he's claimed as his character for his
Oh
music
yeah,
video.
he was
yeah.
in he was
But-
in yeah.
He was in this.
But it's still an
the newspaper
interpretation.
one.
It's still a fan character.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
an interpretation. If we're gonna include Wuna, if we're gonna include the Slice of Life ponies, then
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
if we're gonna include Friendship is Witchcraft, so
Yan Animations is a god among animation.
It's
to be
true.
honest.
it's pretty good. It's pretty
Yes.
good.
Well, he's a freelance animator, so it kind of makes sense.
That's true. It is his job.
He does it for a living.
He better be good at it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we listed literally half of the actual amount of characters that were made. So that was more than 4 answers, but there you go.
Egophiliac, I love you.
That'll give you a good sample size of the kind of stuff that we pay attention to. And I don't even think that we keep up very well.
Yeah.
I think
no.
we don't keep up very well. So the fact that we have that many is just a testament to how many this fandom really comes up with.
Does Akira get a mention?
Yeah.
Akira the Alicorn.
Shout out to the epic.
Hey,
Shout out to
The
Akira.
infamous Alicorn OC that has been vectored by
No,
every vector
dude,
artist.
cut that out. Cut that out. It needs to be a mystery. We just need to say Akira, and that's it.
All right,
Okay.
sure, I'll cut this out.
Shout out to Akira. That's it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You're not gonna cut it out, are you?
No, he's not.
Not close enough. All right. Well, that was our answers for the questions. You've seen the art. What
Yes.
could we possibly have left?
Plugs.
Yeah, those.
I really have to pee.
Okay, so we have a DeviantArt account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. Go there. We have Facebook page, which is Cutie Art Crusaders. Facebook.com/CutieArtCrusaders. Twitter, which is @CutieArtCrusade. YouTube, which is YouTube.com/CutieArtCrusaders. And what am I missing?
Like our
Gmail.
videos.
Twitter
Gmail.
and Facebook.
We already got those.
I'm
Gmail.
missing something.
Yeah.
Email, which is cutieartcrusaders.gmail.com.
Email me nice things.
CutieArtCrusaders@gmail.com.
Tell me I'm
It's
pretty.
really hard to keep up with this sometimes. Send us stuff, jokes, stuff like that.
Tell Burndy's pretty.
The magical thing about all of this is that we may be an audio podcast, but we also have a video element to it. So no matter how much Atmospark slurs through those sentences, they'll always be on the screen for you guys to check
That's what you
out.
think. So I'm going to jumble up the letters and be like,
slurring.
The letters are all gonna be like.
Use Comic Sans. It's the slurriest of all fonts.
And like falling all over the screen, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going
God,
to
I
edit
hate,
that.
I hate,
Flutter guy, why?
I hate
Why would
Comic
you-
Sans. I'm so sorry.
Flutter
Why would you
pickle.
even do that?
We should
Alright.
do a typology episode and just like
Typology?
Yeah!
Excuse me?
fonts.
Typology!
Excuse me.
Fonts.
Typology. I'm gonna Google typology.
Typology.
Oh my god, it's an actual thing. I feel like a jerk.
Did you not know that it was?
No, but
So-
okay. No. What you meant was typography.
Typography, yeah. That.
But typology is the study of types.
Oh.
Ooh.
So
Well,
technically it's a real
Hey.
thing, but it was nothing what you meant to.
Yeah, you
It's
know.
typography.
I'm studying the types of fonts, so.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Typology.
Yeah,
Next week's
we
theme is
should-
typography. No.
No.
So shout out to Kitty Cat 568. by the way.
God,
Yeah, right.
Because he gave each one of us our own CAC fonts, and I thought it was
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes, and you are
since we're
Comic
talking about
Sans, Comic
typography,
Sans.
I have a love for Arial, whatever, Arial
Now-
font.
I do
am Comic Sans.
respect
Ariel.
the opinion of Kitty Cat for making those things, but I politely disagree with this choice of font for me.
I don't know. Haroni sounds kind of pretentious.
I've got a
Yeah.
couple. If you'll notice, the fonts in the Cutie Art Crusaders episodes are of a particular sheen, so I would consider myself to partake in those in particular.
If you will.
If I may, for 1 second, while you edit this out, Bernd, go and find the actual font name that we use in the episodes.
I shall.
Thank you.
Oh.
No. Stop.
Can my font be Wingdings?
Sure.
That's so good. Wingdings are Comic Sans for the Pinky Dash.
No,
I mean,
Wingdings.
Spank.
Wingdings is better than Comic Sans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used
Or
to
what about that
actually be able
funky
to read
Jester
Wingdings.
text?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If I may.
Uh-huh.
So, the font that I used for most of our Cutie Art Crusaders stuff, which I am a big fan of myself, is Letter Gothic STD. Or
It's
standard.
fancy.
Right.
Uh.
So that is a particular font of my choosing.
Of
So
your
if I were
caliber.
to
Partaking.
if I were to perhaps describe myself using one font, it would be Letter Gothic Standard.
Standard.
It's as you see, it's a standard in the industry.
It's just standard.
Or you can read it as
I-
STD and just have a giggle.
Times New Roman for the win.
All right, well,
Wait.
what
we
could you
laugh about
possibly say
STDs
that's
here.
relevant here?
I was just gonna say that I like my font. I haven't used Kandara, but I like it, and I should start using it.
Well, thank you, Kitty Cat, for giving
Yeah.
Flutter Guy a new favorite font.
Thank you.
Seems like
If we ever do a Discord episode, can we make the show font to be Wingdings?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But I like the theory of changing the font and like the general thing for the Discord episode, so that's a good thing. We should keep
I'm
that in
gonna
mind.
make the crap out of a Wingding stuff. I'll probably start out as Wingdings, and then I'll just transition it slowly into like Comic Sans. And everything will be good.
It
Well,
just gets
good
worse.
thing I'm not editing that episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is everything for this episode. I'm pretty sure we've kind of run out of things to talk about other than fonts, and trust me, fonts are not interesting. So let's just get the heck away.
The
from
Wonderful
there.
World of Fonts by the Cutie Art Crusaders. Next week's
Yeah.
episode, fonts.
No,
People would disagree with you.
Yeah, I know, but that,
Protoplasma.
people seem to find anything we do
People
entertaining,
make
which I
fonts for a
know is
living,
wrong.
you know.
So
Next week episode is
no,
typology.
it's typology for the
Typology.
no, it's not typology. The next week's theme will in fact be on the screen right now. So look forward to that.
Flutter pickle.
No, look for that next week. Thank you guys
Shout
for
out to
watching.
Rainbow Pixel.
Whether or not you're
Cool.
on live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. We'll see you here, same time, same place next week. My name is Rainbow Plasma,
I'm Burno One.
I'm Flutterguy317.
Add my pickle.
and we'll see you guys next pickle.
I gotta pee.